I'm old, so it's my tired time of day, so I'm going to try to put myself up in about a few hours since it's after lunch. Usually when I'm at an event that focuses on young entrepreneurs, I am the oldest person in the room. And that's clearly not the case today, so thank you. You know who you are. So I'm a contributing editor. It's actually intergenerational events are fantastic, so I think this is really cool. So I'm a contributing editor at Inc. Magazine. I also manage the 30 under 30 list, so always looking for great candidates for that and selecting them now. By the way, if you have candidates for me. A couple years ago, last year ago or so, I published a book called Upstart, How Gen Y Entrepreneurs Are Rocking the World of Business, and that's why I'm standing here today, because I've been sort of living in this space of young entrepreneurs ever since. And the reason I wrote Upstart is a few years ago I began to notice that I was seeing more and more and more young entrepreneurs that I'd ever seen in my 25-year career of writing about entrepreneurship, and I wanted to know who they are and why they're starting businesses, if their businesses look differently from the ones I had covered in the past, and what everybody could learn from them. And it's been a fascinating journey for me to sort of be in this world and talking to young people who have businesses every single day. It's a privilege, and it's really fun. And the byproduct is that you get called awesome all the time. My husband comes home from work and says, who said you were awesome today? Seriously, somebody tells me I'm awesome every day. They really are like this all the time, just so you know. All right. So we have with us today a really wonderful panel of young entrepreneurs who all of them have either built successful companies and or started innovative organizations that support entrepreneurship education. And we're going to start, I'll start by introducing them. They can come up, as I call them. First we have Brian Alice, the founder of Like Contact. Scott Gerber, founder of Young Entrepreneurs Health, because you haven't heard quite enough from him already today. I'm Jane, founder of Kairos Society. And Schick, president and CEO of Incubate. Trevor Owens, founder of Lean Startup Machine. Chris McCann, Startup Digest. And Travis Kiefer, executive director of Gumball Capital. Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to ask each of these young people to stand up and talk about their entrepreneurial journeys for just a few minutes. We're going to ask them to talk about some of the biggest lessons that they've learned as they started their companies, and specifically lessons that they think might be helpful to other entrepreneurship educators. Then when they're done with their shtick, I'm going to ask them a couple of questions, and then we're going to try to go straight to you guys as soon as possible. So let's get started with Brian.
Awesome, thank you, Donna. Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? You get some energy in this room today. We feel it, the Young Entrepreneur Panel. We need awesome educators throughout this country and throughout the world to spread the message that entrepreneurship is not just something that should be taught at a few colleges or a few universities or a few high schools, but entrepreneurship is a powerful force that can change the world. So I love you, we need you, and we're excited to be here today to bring some energy to this room. My story is I grew up in Bradenton, Florida, not too far from here, Anna Maria Island. My parents, Episcopalian priest from Pennsylvania. My mom was a social worker from England. And I was an entrepreneur from a very young age, age 11. I started Atlas Computing, helping senior citizens here in Florida learn to use computers for $5 an hour. Would ride my bike down their house, got my first clients, and learned the best business lesson I ever learned, that word of mouth marketing is the best type of marketing you can have because it's trusted and it's free. A few years later, got into website design, got into internet marketing, search engine optimization. And then when I was 18, I came up to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill as a freshman. I actually did my mentor, my advisor, Jeff Reed from UNC is right there, and I did a little independent study under Jeff, and he brought me to the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, their first conference that I went to, which was in Washington, D.C. that year, at which I met Michael Simmons. So that's how this all came together. And now 9 years later, I'm in this room having a chance to speak to such wonderful educators. So I started Eye Contact. We today have 207 employees in Raleigh, North Carolina. We've raised $53 million of capital, and we're the largest private provider of email marketing software for small businesses and nonprofits throughout the world. It's been a long ride. The lessons I've learned: hire great people, hire people smarter than yourselves. Go at it and focus, and don't get into analysis paralysis. Entrepreneurship education is not about writing business plans. It's about launching ventures. It's about figuring out how do we take something and how do we take nothing and create something. How do we have the passion, the persistence, and a little bit of craziness to be able to do something and make something happen that can change the world. So for me today, I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm a big believer in the power of business to make a positive impact in the world. I have an investment fund called Humanity Fund that invests in high-growth tech companies in East Africa, Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia. And we are now an E Corporation, which if you're not teaching your students about the power of business to change the world and what E Corporations are and what corporate social responsibility is, I think you should be teaching about that. So I'm excited to be on this panel today, and I'm now going to turn it over to my man, Scott. Thank you.
So my story basically was I was in college. I went to New York University. I graduated in 2005. And at New York University, I was basically, producing. That was my passion back in the day. I was in the film business. Thought I was going to be the next Hollywood auteur, and then got my butt kicked. And basically what happened was while I was in college, I was making money, tens of thousands of dollars a month, producing real stuff in the field. I found ways to hustle my way into producing music videos for folks like Lil' Kim. Whoa. And at the same time, while I was doing that, I got very stupid. And it's mainly because I didn't have folks like you to guide me. There was no real entrepreneurship education provided to me on any level. I never took a single business class or mathematics class while I attended college, just to give you an example. And what was really interesting was why I got really stupid is that I decided, instead of just doing music videos, that I wanted to be what at the time was the cool buzzword. I wanted to be a new media guru. Well, that was hardcore back in the 2000s. And what really happened was I said, I'm going to do websites, I'm going to do photography, I'm going to do all this stuff. And I took a company that basically was me going out there, doing a service, providing, making a good amount of money, and I bankrupted it and had $700 left to my name. At which point my 25-year stalwart New York City Board of Education teacher mother said, Scott, it's time to get a real job. And then I basically said, screw that, I'm never going to get a real job. I didn't know what that meant, but I basically took all the hard knocks lessons I learned on the chin, took that $700 and created a company called Sizzle It, which produces promotional videos for PR and marketing professionals. And now today we're the largest provider in that niche and have clients such as Procter & Gamble, Dolby, Gap, and a lot of other large brands around the world. And a lot of that was simply because I needed to figure out what I did wrong. And that's why I believe in failure and the power of failure and the ability to educate through failure versus educating through curriculum and educating through, just saying things from folks that frankly don't understand the state of failure. And so where I come from, I guess, and why I'm amazed at all these young folks, and I'm in awe every day. I tell Ryan he's like one of the top people that I just can't believe. But he's an amazing story, as is Ankur here in a minute, and I'm sure all the wonderful folks I'm just meeting now, their stories are just as compelling. But really what I think is the most valuable in the last minute here I can tell you based on my story is it shows that anybody truly can be an entrepreneur, especially in today when it's coming out of desperation and necessity. When we don't have an option, we don't have a choice, and we only want to do one thing, we want to do it really well. If we're provided developmental stage help at each milestone within our business, we can move ourselves forward, we can be more successful, because we don't have a choice to fail and fail big. We need to continue. So again, simple services, that would be my number one tip for you. Tell your students it's not just about tech. I'm sure some guys will say it's all about tech. To me, 99% of people will never have any level of successful tech startup. I think it's about simple service, dry cleaners. I think it's about stop thinking Facebook, start thinking about pool cleaning service, and making that unique. I always tell my buddy in the back right there, Mr. Friedman, I love his business, College Hunks Hauling Junk, because I understand it, and I know a lot of people could. And by the way, free plug, greatest company ever, check it out, College Hunks Hauling Junk. Anyway, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you guys listening.
Thank you. My name is Akko Jain. I'm actually still a student, so I'm a senior at Portland, so the epitome of business school and the lack of entrepreneurship. I'm also the founder of the Kairos Society, which, to give you a quick background, is the world's leading organization. Can you hear me now? Is the world's leading organization for top students around the world looking to say, how can we create the next billion-dollar companies that are going to change the world? Now, I've asked to come here, I guess, to speak about some of the interesting lessons we've learned, so I'm going to be real quick and brief, but there are 2 or 3 things that I think we all need to consider here because we all have been in the entrepreneurship space for the longest time. We all know the basics of, what makes things work and what entrepreneurs do and what makes us make money. But what we're missing, I think, is the shift for our generation. And that, there's 2 parts to that. One, our generation needs that culture surrounding us. Obama talked about this being the Sputnik moment, I think, in the State of the Union. And Doug, correct me if I'm messing up on something here, but he talked about this being a time to invest money in R&D and science and technology. I'd say we try and shift that to the other reason the Sputnik moment was so powerful for America. At that time, we created a culture where every college student wanted to go to the edge of the universe. Every college student graduated and said, I'm going to study science, I'm going to be the next, literally, the limits did not exist. That has not happened for our generation yet. And that's something that we're trying to create through the Kairos Society. Can we take these brilliant engineers, science leaders, business leaders, and say, look, you will shape the future. But you are going to shape the future through business, through entrepreneurship, through creating innovative new solutions to these big problems. And more importantly, it's possible because not just the mentorship, the culture exists all around you. And one of the other cool things about our generation that you'll see in this room and beyond is that there are no borders. There are no borders between campuses, no borders between countries. We're looking at these students in the Kairos Society, all 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, creating multi-million-dollar companies that are solving these problems. And the business team is a kid in China and Beijing, a kid in Boston, and a kid in LA saying, hey, let's start this company together. That has never before been possible. And so if we were to walk away from this room today, trying to say, what are 2 or 3 things we should focus on? It's let's create this culture of entrepreneurship as a means of solving problems, not just starting a company, quote unquote, and trying to figure out how to create a revenue source. It's what is a core problem and what is the innovative solution? And now, how can we take that global from day one? Because we don't have to be a little Boston company, become a Northeast company, and hopefully one day expand into foreign territory. We can be a global society, changing the world and making a lot of money from day one. And that's what I'm hoping we'll see in this generation from everyone here. So please ask any questions you have. Thank you again, Donna and Mike and everyone here.